Hi, I'm Gary Essling, Product Marketing Specialist for Raven. Today I'd like to talk to you about the latest in Raven operating software, or ROS. ROS is the software that you find on the Viper 4. And the latest version that was just released within the last month is version 3.8.052. It's available online on the Raven portal. Today I'd like to talk to you about a few things and the highlights and features of what 3.8 can offer for you. First of all, let's talk about the first one is Fleet Analytics. It teams up with Slingshot and gathers data on a machine. It also, after you gather that data, gives you efficiency as to how that machine works. Some of the things that it checks is the working time, the idle time, the road transit time, and even the field transit time. And the nice thing is, it's done by sensors. The operator doesn't have to push a button to enact gathering this data. It's all done by sensors on the machine and sent via Slingshot, and the reports can be found on the Raven Slingshot website. The nice thing is, when you're gathering this type of data, you gather the efficiency for that machine. And if you have more than one machine, say you're an ag retailer and you have a whole fleet, you're able to gather the data on the whole fleet and compare one machine to the next. Sometimes a person can wonder, why isn't one machine applying as much as the other? Well, sometimes it could be they're spending too much time on the road, they're waiting too long for tender trucks, etc. All these things can enter in and make an operation more efficient. Some of the other things that's also it can do is it can check tank levels. It can do sprayer tanks, fuel tanks, and even chemical tanks, etc. All these can be checked and looked at as we're applying at the same time. Now for this, you need version 3.8 on your Viper 4, and you also need a gold subscription for your Slingshot. You put these two together, and then you have the ability to have the fleet analytics. It also understands which machine brand you're working with, whether it's yellow, whether it's red, or other type of machines that you're working with. Another feature is boundary creation. Now, we've always been able to do boundary creation by hitting a record button. This goes back to the days of Viper Pro and ePro. You hit the record button, you go around the field, and your boundary is set. But once in a while, a person will forget to push the record button. They make that first pass around the field and it's, oh no, I forgot to push the record button and my boundary isn't set. Now with version 3.8, what can happen is you can make that first pass or boundary, and after the fact, you can still make a boundary creation from that field. And finally, acre countdown. This is something that came up with our Top Gun sessions time and time again. And after getting reports from hundreds, literally hundreds of attendees at Top Gun, they asked for an acre countdown. So what we've done, we provided that for them. This is your boundary minus your coverage. The nice thing is, how is that applied? Well, the nice thing about it is the fact that, say you have a machine that's applying dry fertilizer. The office calls and asks, well, how many acres are left on this field so we can send her a tender truck with the correct amount of fertilizer to finish that field. Instead of the operator having to sit down and do the calculations, it is right there in front of him on the screen, and he can say how many acres are left in that field. Now, this is the first step. We got to realize these are things that we go through, but it's first step. It does not account for overlapping or coverage, and those things will probably come in the future. But it's very good. And even if, let's say your boundaries have changed on a field. Say there was a row of trees and they took the row of trees out and the field is expanded from the year before and the boundaries, we can make that new boundary and we can do a new acre countdown. Now, all of these things are available, like I said, on version 3.8. It's found on the Raven portal, and if you have more questions, go to your Raven dealer today and ask how 3.8 can make your operation more efficient.